Afternoon. Okay, let's talk about the little percentage of completion you're finding at your SSA personal website access that all of us get as working people with Social Security numbers or with Social Security earnings, that we can go online and see. So when you're in the midst of a disability claim, I always tell my clients, don't even look, just don't even, because it will drive them crazy and it's not going to give them any useful information. So at least not in terms of this percentage of completion. So people say, well, what does it mean? It says it's 65% done. We're almost, more than halfway. I'm like, more than halfway of what? You could be at 65 for a year because it doesn't mean 65% of the time you have to wait for it to be done. It is done. It is some 65% of something, maybe a bunch of steps they have to go through, but their steps don't take a consistent amount of time. So let me give you an example. So let's say one of the steps is them requesting all of the medical evidence that you have put down in your application. Or if you're on reconsideration, you put it down on your reconsideration appeal paperwork as providers that you have seen since you reported who you were seeing or had seen when you applied. So now they have to go and send out a bunch of requests for records. Now, sometimes they have an automated system. It depends on, we call it a HITMER, HITMER. It's the entities, usually some major health networks, who the SSA has some sort of arrangement with, that when they have your authorization, which they always do for every claimant, you would definitely want them to have that, or else they can't get your records for you. And they can then go in and electronically download your records from whatever system is between the SSA and the health network. That's really fast. I mean, that means they can get it the same day they request it. It's probably instantaneous or as close to that as one would want. But that's not all of your providers necessarily. So then you have the ones that have to get a request either by mail or by fax. Their staff has to properly handle that mail or fax, and then either create the records if they do it there, or send it to a vendor if they have a third-party vendor who provides the copies of records requested, whether it's requested by patient or by the SSA or by anybody else. So as you can tell, the latter method, and it would mostly apply to those providers that are not in a major health network, who the SSA has this relationship with. So that can take weeks and weeks and months and months and months for one provider. If they're slow, if they don't respond as soon as they're supposed to, which is probably 30 days, the SSA, I believe, will ask for it again. They used to do this a lot. I'm not sure how much they're doing it now. Reach out to you, the claimant, and or you and your attorney rep, if you have one, and ask you to light a match under your provider who hasn't provided the records. You might call up your provider. They might say, we never received it. So now you have to go back and ask the SSA to send them the request again. This can take a long time. Probably after a certain amount of time, not sure how much, but I expect if it's been maybe requested twice with no response, the SSA is going to have to move on. They're going to have to make a decision without that medical evidence. So it would behoove you, of course, to maybe help that along if you find that they haven't, achieved it on the first go. Now, given that one doctor can take that long, then there's, if you have many doctors, it's the same idea. So what, if 65% means they're now at the point of requesting your medical records, that could still be a year's worth of time. I mean, in theory, right? We hope it's not going to be. But what I'm trying to say is that 65% is not 65% of the time frame you have to wait to get a decision. It is 65% of something else that they don't share with us. Okay. So I really suggest not looking at that. It is going to give you no information that you can use. It doesn't give me any information I can use, and I do this for a living. So I really think it's best to not stress yourself out by looking at it. There may be other useful things up there. I know one of the useful things that's up there, but that disappears when you file is some of the information about whether you would be, what you would get if you became disabled right now, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know why they take that information out, but I understand they do. If you filed, before you filed, we can all get it on our Social Security, our annual Social Security earnings statement. It's really useful. It helps you track and make sure that the SSA has your earnings. And then you can see, so you can kind of plan for retirement as well. It'll tell you what amount you're going to be getting at the different ages. But after you file, that the useful information of 65% is not really so useful. So I would suggest you don't even bother reading it, because it is meaningless in terms of how long you have to be tortured with this weight. Okay. I hate to say it, but it's true. All right. Have a good one, guys. Bye.